Hi, I'm Jennifer Kelly, Customer Success Manager here at Getty Images, welcoming you to this special technology-focused episode of The Download Presents. As always, I want to give a big shout out to all of our current Getty Images customers joining us today, and thank you for your business. We truly appreciate it. Today, we're taking a fresh look at how technology is being visualized, what's working, what's missing, and where the biggest shifts are happening. Here to share some of our latest data-backed visual GPS research is Creative Insights Manager Nicole McKinney, presenting The Future is Now, a fresh look at technology visuals for today and tomorrow.
Thanks, Jen. Hi there, everyone. I hope all is well today. As Jennifer mentioned, my name is Nicole. I'm a manager on the Creative Insights team for the EMEA region, and I'm so excited to talk to you today about the visual state of technology as we're seeing it. As many of you know, technology is an industry that connects to nearly every other vertical and shapes not only the way visuals evolve, but how we as humans quite literally evolve. We're currently living in such a rapid state of transformation defined by automation, personalization, and AI integration. Say that 3 times fast. AI is no longer just a buzzword, but a foundational layer driving innovation across sectors, all while ethical concerns around data, privacy, misinformation, and AI generated content are at play, prompting transparency and partially driving fragmentation. So let's take a look at what all of this means visually to help brands and marketers like yourself not only meet this moment we're in, but play a proactive role in shaping desired sentiments and outcomes. Before we get into it, I want to share a little bit about the creative team and how we work to bring you amazing content and research. We maintain relationships with over 500,000 creators who make content available for you to access through our libraries. And 80,000 of those creators we have exclusive relationships with, meaning you're not going to find this visual magic anywhere else. We have cross-functional teams that work with our creators and who work with our customers to help realize their visual strategies to move culture and our industry forward. And this work is grounded by our proprietary visual GPS research, which really helps us as a creative insights team make meaning of our visual world through data. We study the visuals that brands we work with are looking for and investing in on Getty Images and iStock. We look at how those visual choices are connected or disconnected from what's happening in the worlds of the consumers they're looking to reach. And so be it through content we create and make available, or through inspiring brands to take action, or if you're looking to see what's possible for us to create together, we're here to provide expert visual guidance. Here we have the methodology that went into this presentation today. We looked at multiple waves of survey data from over 2,400 US consumers surveyed, over 250,000 visuals downloaded by technology brands over the last 10 years, and over 10,000 technology-related searches, contextualizing all of this with external sources, including news, art, pop culture, design trends, and more. And so all of this visual GPS research has helped us form the 2 stories we'll be walking through today, starting with everything, everywhere, all at once. With today's advancements, technology has become and continues to become ever-present and pervasive, and we're currently living in a time of exponentially rapid innovation and evolution. It took about 2.4 million years for our ancestors to control fire and use it for cooking, but 66 years to go from the first flight to humans actually landing on the moon. So the timeline continues to collapse, right? Which doesn't only make it feel like things are changing at a rapid pace. They literally are. Change is happening faster now than it has ever been before. And if you look at this graph here to the left, we pulled from our world and data. We're living in that moment that says now, somewhere between smartphones and human-level AI. And at this point in our evolution, we're seeing technology really act as a bridge from predominantly physical to predominantly digital. Tech is no longer defined by breakthrough gadgets alone, but by its integration into daily life, identity, infrastructure, as well as imagination. We're in the middle of a shift from utility to emotion and tools to ecosystems, and from hardware to intelligence. According to McKinsey and Company, investments in intangible assets such as intellectual property, research, technology, and software has risen inexorably over the past quarter century. In 1995, the split was about 70-30 in favor of tangible investments. But by 2019, that split was 60-40, and intangibles share continued to increase even in the face of major economic disruptions like COVID. And so today, with thousands of digital tools and services and products now available, these profound changes would not have been possible if it were not for the three quintessential technologies at the center of this fourth industrial revolution, which is the internet, the computer, and the smartphone. It's hard to imagine today's reality without them, right? Our visual analysis actually finds that computers, laptops, cell phones, smartphones, and digital tablets make up the highest share of devices featured in popular technology downloads. But if we think back through this evolution, computers were released to market nearly 48 years ago, and early versions of the cell phone hit the market in the 90s. Cell phones had a slower adoption rate over time compared to computers or digital tablets, but after the introduction of iPhone in 2006, smartphones really took off, especially as they became smaller and sleeker and easier to carry and more convenient than the other computer devices featured here, right? Hence, smartphones reign supreme. And the evolution of phones has made it possible for us to carry the power of the internet wherever we go. It's made it easy for us to take and share pictures and videos and constantly document any given moment of our lives. This trend of casual photography has affected what authenticity in imagery really means, from selfies to behind the scenes and candids. It's become more about centering humanity and how this technology has seamlessly seeped into and enhanced our everyday lives versus so much emphasis on the actual product itself. Though, when we do look at visuals of the products themselves, as we keep in mind how technology is becoming increasingly digital, computers and laptops are actually more likely to be pictured connecting to the Internet of Things or connected devices than smartphones, suggesting a possible lag in the industry's accurate, authentic representation of smartphone use, especially as it relates to connected devices, right? Smartphones act as a hub and a data gateway. But when we looked at connected technologies, not only are computers more frequently pictured, but imagery tends to appear very technical, like we see with this logistics worker in a smart warehouse setting, right? Versus incorporated into lifestyle in the many real ways we see that happening today. And speaking of connected devices and lifestyle, according to Parks and Associates and Kantar Media, 45% of internet households now have at least one smart home device, and 52% own smart speakers. Yet less than 1% of popular technology downloads features either home automation or smart speakers, signaling an opportunity to continue to visualize and display this increasingly invisible technology, right? That emphasizes those ecosystems and how this technology, seamlessly allows us to speak to other devices and systems. And so what does an increase in, this invisible technology mean? It means that in time, screens will become less essential. Maybe not tomorrow, but possibly in the next decade, we may look back at smartphones the same way we see landlines now, right? A technology that was revolutionary, but ultimately replaced by something more advanced, which can make some people feel a certain type of way, right? The future state of the world can be unnerving for some to think about. A majority find it difficult to keep up with the pace, the fast pace of today's world. And some are nervous about how heavily the world will rely on technology in the future. But a majority are excited, for example, about technology and its impact on wellness, right? And overall, some are feeling anxious, while others are feeling more excited. But despite this spectrum and sentiment, a majority do feel empowered by the pervasiveness of technology. And as it becomes more ingrained into humanity, we believe tech brands can play a role in keeping up this positive sentiment through their visual choices. For example, a majority of consumers agree that technology makes them feel connected to others, which is really important considering the fact that spending more time with family and friends has become increasingly more important to consumers today. And technology brands have done a great job at recognizing this. If we flash back to the past, 10 years ago, connection was more focused on the literal meaning of technology's ability to connect us to the internet, like we see here with this long hallway of computers and data-based systems with no human insight, right? It looks very cold and quiet and operational. 5 years ago, we're starting to see people inserted into the picture, but the focus is still very much technology's ability to literally connect us as we see people work away as individuals, right? And in some co-working space or office space, it looks like each of them have their headphones on, which keeps them really locked into their own worlds. Connection, the visualizations of connection, it's getting better, but still off. And then if we look at just last year, we see one of the most popular visual choices really better reflects the type of connection we desire most, right? With a warmer composition and natural lighting and people actively collaborating and communicating with one another. Yet, individuals are still pictured more often, 2 times more often than groups and 6 times more often than families. And when we do see these individuals, they're usually working away in cooler, clinical looking environments versus living their best everyday lives, right? And so there's room here to continue to humanize technology into real life in ways that really hone in on the benefits of technology, like bringing people together and digitally and physically, right? Versus sheer productivity ability, especially since connection is going to become that much more important as consumers desire even deeper connections, right? 62% feel the most joy when spending time with their friends and loved ones, and 90% of consumers, almost everyone here, engages in some kind of creative and physical activity. And so the future of community building is going to be returning to the basics of smaller, more intimate circles that foster like-minded passions and hobbies. And one of the reasons we're seeing this happen is partially because privacy, bias, and errors are top concerns causing some of that anxiety we mentioned earlier, right? For data privacy violations and lack of transparency and accountability in regard to algorithms and content moderation, right? Inconsistencies and handling misinformation and harmful content, all of these things, a trustworthy reputation and knowing one's information is safe and secure are major values to consider in reaching technology consumers today, especially as legacy media and social media platforms are losing trust. According to Pew in 2023, 72% of Americans believe social media had too much power and influence over politics. And we know from VisualGPS that a majority of consumers believe social media can't be trusted. We're living at a time of mass fragmentation, with users splintering into smaller interest-based communities, right, across the likes of Discord, which is an app traditionally known for gamers, but has a growing number of users building communities focused on other interests. There's Substack, right, who now includes a chat feature allowing writers to have direct conversations with their audience and build deeper community around their publications. And then, of course, Reddit, right, who caters to a wide range of interests, from hobbies to games, political and social issues, and so much more. And then we have social hobby apps like Letterboxd for cinephiles. They're also transforming personal interests into deeper connected experiences. And visuals, rather, are increasingly tailored to these niche, hyper-specific tastes. which leads us to the rise of post-platform aesthetics and microcultural visuals like cottagecore, Frutiger and glitchcore. And this is a question for all of you watching. If you had to pick a core, which core would you belong to? The Gen Z inclination to add the suffix core to a word and call it an aesthetic has been pretty pervasive. And while certain visual trends cycle faster than you can swipe, others are pretty sticky, especially if they're rooted in sentiment, right? So cottagecore, for example, is an extremely popular aesthetic. The hashtag has well over 12 billion views on TikTok. And it's an aesthetic that really romanticizes rural life, emphasizing a return to simpler living and traditional skills and a connection with nature. Frutiger is an aesthetic rooted in early 2000s design, characterized by glossy, skeuomorphic visuals that blend nature with tech. As many wish to return to a simpler era, this aesthetic reflects a longing for the optimistic tech era of the early 2000s, contrasting with some of today's more minimalist designs. And then glitchcore really honors the long standing fascination with glitch, crop of zany, eye-popping, rainbow-colored aesthetic that are usually overlaid with a hyper-pop electronic kind of dance music genre-less sound. This aesthetic is also meant to send us back in time when the digital world was a site of childlike experimentation and play. It definitely has an internet glory days aura to it, for sure. And so, in pulling some popular content that felt aligned to these three post-platform aesthetics, the options were slim, right? Slim pickings, slim to choose from, as these trends collectively make up less than 1% of popular visuals, which signals brands may be having a hard time keeping up with this fragmentation. Another element that might be hard or might feel hard to keep up with is the wonderful world of AI. As we know, AI is everywhere and it's going to disrupt everything all at once. Just kidding. But it is one of the biggest disruptions and inventions of our times, and it will change everything from the way we work to the way we live. And people are moving with hesitancy, right? As a majority are open to trying it, but not without caveats. 26% prefer to wait until it's been proven to work. 18% need to know more about it before actually trying it. And so as adoption varies related to the desire to learn more, we're already seeing this level of fragmented understanding of AI. If we look at content generation specifically, a majority of consumers have a hard time understanding if what they're looking at is real or not, which is more true for older generations, right? They're having an even harder time than some of the younger generations deciphering what's real and what's not. So from AI slop, which is more low quality content with minimal human input and often generated and used by younger generations as entertainment or seemingly as this like new age joke-based language, to the less detectable, beautiful works that still are pretty deceiving, right? Katy Perry was pictured at the Met 2 times in a row these past couple of years when she wasn't actually there. And last year, I think she had to actually issue a disclaimer letting audiences know she wasn't there. I think her own mother mistaked her for actually being there. So, brands not only have to live alongside this type of content, but have to stand out, right, against this desensitizing kind of clutter that will continue to fragment audiences. And so staying true to your brand standards and really maintaining consistency and honest, authentic imagery is going to be key in order for brands to meet this moment and really help shape outcomes and sentiments as this visual language continues to evolve. And so even when we look at the literal depiction of AI, as brands have been very interested in literally depicting this new technology, this too is evolving, right? There's now an even representation of visuals depicting AI across people and non-people imagery. However, It's still very abstract and high level with glowing AI symbols and system overlays and flowing light points that represent data and abstract futuristic looking structures and so on, right? So there's a lot of work to be done when it comes to demystifying this technology. And so moving forward, these depictions will become more specific, right, to the type and function of AI that's being depicted. And AI isn't the only major innovation we're seeing today, right? Though it seeps into some of the areas we're about to talk about. So, what's up next? Essential innovations. There are some major evolutions in technology at play that will continue not only to embed technology into humanity itself, but enhance some of the most essential areas of our lives. So, remembering the anxiety we touched on earlier, fueled by the ongoing fast paced and serious mood of the world today, consumers are prioritizing their overall health as a top priority in their lives, with improving physical health taking that number one spot. More time with family and friends, which is also something that we touched on, and work-life balance, which we'll get into. But all of these things broadly ladder up to wellness. And evolutions in healthcare technologies are giving consumers more autonomy, right? Helping to ease anxieties by giving consumers more control, giving users readouts of their state of health on a daily basis, and offering the possibility of enabling people to regulate their own behaviors. According to Electronic Health Reporter, 66% of Americans now use health-related devices, which is up from 18% in 2021. So, however, these innovations or these innovative devices aren't often seen, right? Medical equipment, health technologies, they all make up a small percentage, about less than 5% of popular visuals chosen by the technology industry. Gen Z and millennials, for example, they're particularly drawn to holistic wearables, yet smartwatches make up less than 1% of technology visuals. And so as technology continues to scale, with AI becoming ever more present, there's opportunity to continue to visually expand what health and wellness looks like outside of the doctor's office. We must move beyond, futurism and really root ourselves in the fact that the future is happening right now. 65% of consumers prefer AI-driven health plans, according to Health Edge, which means further humanizing data and diagnostics, right? Including visuals that represent how AI sees patterns or recommendations, using softer color palettes and emphasizing care and precision and collaboration, moving away from overly futuristic hospital settings to depictions of home, like we see here with this woman and her smart mattress as it tracks her health. We need more depictions in local clinics, as well as other community care settings as well. And assistive technology, right, helps improve individual functions related to cognition and communication and hearing and mobility and vision and so much more, right? And they're most needed by older individuals, children, people with disabilities, and people with long-term health conditions such as diabetes, stroke, and dementia. And while seniors make up about 8% and children 10% of popular technology visuals, people with disabilities only make up 1% of popular visuals, which leaves some of us who benefit most to go unseen. Technology provides a beacon of hope and a tool for transformation for all of us, but especially in the lives of individuals with disabilities. And so by increasing, the visibility for those of us who are in most need, it increases the continued normalization of this technology for all of us. And increased visibility of how, these devices are actually used is also really important. Make sure these videos play. And video can help or can play a helping hand especially with product demonstration, right? Though technology brands within this healthcare space have not been utilizing video all that often. The breakdown is about 83% stills versus 17% video. And of those videos, we see most often these high-level scenarios of healthcare professionals on their screens or various devices, interacting with professionals or patients in person, like the videos we see to the left, right? Versus to the right is the type of video consumers are looking to see more of in this space. This woman is conducting her own ultrasound at home, likely generating a video that's being shared with her healthcare provider in real time. It's personal, it's helpful, and it's inspiring. And when we talk about video in general, 51% agree that video is most influential for emotionally driven content. The power of video is undeniable in its ability to engage viewers and convey complex information and create an overall more immersive experience. We know, according to Gallup's 70-30 principle, that 70% of decisions are actually based on emotion, including brand preference, versus 30% rational, right? And so an emotional connection with a brand often trumps pure capability or functionality. Though most popular video that features people favors productivity over content that connects more emotionally, right? Even when searching for positive emotion, it still leans fairly professional, which is similar to a call out we made earlier around individuals being pictured more often than groups, right? It's understandable why this choice is being made. Technology does absolutely enhance and support our productivity. But sharing content that feels fun and creative or educational in content can really help build stronger emotional connections while maintaining your ability to get to the point, to get your point across, right? And when it is time to be productive, we see in-office work settings still reign supreme, despite, according to WTW, 50% of US employees work hybrid positions. About 31% of employees are on site 80% of the time, and then 19% are fully remote 80% of the time. But back to office mandates may have misattributed the increase of hybrid and remote work to COVID. But the truth is 10% of the global workforce worked remote prior to the pandemic, right? So these in-office settings are appearing about 7.4 times more than home settings, and virtual work representation is less than 2% of popular downloads. And if you can recall, consumers' prioritization of health and wellness, it includes work-life balance. 83% of surveyed employees at the beginning of this year value the balance in their current and future jobs, surpassing pay, right? Which really highlights the importance of flexible work arrangements supported by technology. And experts say that the desire for workplace flexibility will continue for the foreseeable future. So this is not only about increasing visibility around flexible work, right? Working from home and working on the go and working while traveling, working in co-working spaces, but it's also about ensuring, updated, innovative technology is being featured in traditional office work settings as well, right? Video-enabled rooms and Bluetooth-activated sensors that trigger lights and temperature, technology that helps with the booking of meeting spaces and so on. And today's consumers are also seeking flexibility when it comes to their education. Higher education has always been seen as this super important means to higher earning potential and increased job security, right? And access to better job opportunities overall. But between concerns about the quality and direction of public education, the cost of traditional education, and the job opportunities that continue to change and evolve, consumers are increasingly taking education into their own hands, with the likes of platforms like Khan Academy, and Coursera, and Masterclass, and Duolingo, and so much more, right? EdTech usage among K through 12 schools has actually increased 99% since 2020, according to Market US Scoop. And then 95% of college students recommend online education to others, as well as nearly half of Fortune 500 companies have incorporated e-learning into their business models, according to Cluster. So from early education to lifelong learning, both inside and outside of the classroom, education technology is increasingly important. Yet, education makes up a very small portion of visuals chosen by the technology industry. And yet education is paramount to making energy transition relatable as well, right? While a majority of US consumers prioritize sustainability within the tech industry and are willing to pay more for sustainable practices, this preference is happening as people, especially younger generations, are concerned about the future. According to Ernst & Young, 41% of North Americans believe the planet will become uninhabitable due to climate change. And this jumps to 56% among Gen Z and millennials, right? More than 3/4 of Gen Alpha and Gen Z say they believe education plays a critical role in helping them lead more sustainable lives. But younger generations are more likely to appear simply in nature than in energy transition visuals like green energy technology. And technology has the power to drive sustainability forward, offering innovative solutions to some of the world's most pressing environmental challenges. But it can also contribute to environmental degradation, right? Like the rapid expansion of AI, right? And so we see a majority do believe that AI can help solve really important issues. And yet, we see a strong majority also agree that AI specifically has a negative impact on the environment. Environmental nature, landscapes, and the outdoors are highly popular visual choices, which speaks well to the demand for sustainability within the tech industry, the desire to live more sustainable lifestyles, and the desire to escape reality and technology, as Sammy mentioned in his presentation on travel, right? Digital fasts are being recommended for those who desire to slow down and feel less connected to the likes of social media, right? VGPS finds that going on a walk or a hike or running is one of the top physical activities consumers turn to in order to improve their mood or outlook when feeling anxious, right, or uneasy or upset. Environmental images also provoke that peace and tranquility. And we've seen brands like Microsoft and HP and Dell, as well as others, have all turned to this naturistic imagery to really help balance and humanize or humanize and contrast technology. Another form of escape can be found in our increasingly digital worlds, as 67% of Gen Z and 58% of all ages say that they actually like the idea of escaping to a different reality using technology. And conceptual content, in this case, imagery and video without human focus, and non-inclusive of nature, landscape, and cityscape. This makes up more than half of popular visuals chosen by the technology industry, making it the most popular choice among technology visuals. Though, as we see pictured here, conceptual video content looks more like a screensaver or like background versus visuals that are being used to tell more of a defined story that consumers really desire to escape to. More defined creative video storytelling is on the horizon, whether strictly conceptual and abstract or a blend of technology and reality through the likes of surrealism. Conceptual imagery has that ability to really make sense of more complex topics, technologies, or more abstract ideas in a unique, engaging way by using unconventional narratives and artistic visuals to provoke deeper thought and feeling, giving brands the ability to really break outside of those bounds of reality. What's really unique about the visuals chosen from Getty Images is that there's an ideal movement of camera and visuals, right? You're moving with the visuals on this journey versus a more static feel of what that previous slide was meant to convey. And brand examples like ChatGPT's Super Bowl intelligence age spot, right, where we see the black and white dots shrink and expand to create visuals and tell a story of our evolution, as well as Apple's video spot Flock, which uses a surreal approach to tout their privacy offering, or Lenovo's Your Aura is Limitless, right, which really touts their AI PC through personalized, really colorful blend of reality and technology. All of these are really great examples and precursors of more conceptual and abstract storytelling to come. And overall, visuals will evolve, right, to explore more blended realities, avatars, and augmented self expression. This is really the future, the blending of technology and personal identity, the blending of fantasy and reality, shifting visual language from more documentary style authenticity to curated aspirational digital identities. Currently, virtual reality makes up a very small share of popular visuals downloaded by the technology industry. But according to the Influencer Marketing Factory, about 58% of respondents follow at least one virtual influencer, which just blows my mind. And 35% say that they have made a purchase, purchased a product promoted by a virtual influencer. So examples like Little Michaela and Lou of Magaloo, these are two really well-known virtual influencers who contribute to visual impact that's really hyper stylized and perfect, yet intentionally digital, and often really embodying ideal versions of diversity and gender fluidity. Brands like H&M are utilizing digital twin technology, which is a highly detailed digital replica of a person used for virtual fashion and fitting rooms and gaming and even healthcare, right? And so H&M is utilizing this technology for marketing, while ensuring transparency through watermarks and compensating models for their likeness. The visual impact here is that these hyper-realistic avatars will change notions of authenticity, right? As digital twins allow users to experiment with identity and body types and aesthetics in ways real life may not permit. And then lastly, AI companions like Replica, which are used to engage in empathetic conversations and offer a sense of companionship, emotional support, entertainment, etc. This will have a visual impact that continues to shift us from robotic to soft and emotionally expressive and approachable. Just to recap everything, the future is happening right now. So choose visuals that show how technology fits into our everyday lives, with everyday uses that enhance our connections to one another. Um, Choose visuals that humanize technology and make us feel emotionally connected, less cold and robotic, and more emotionally intuitive and responsive, and deeply personal. Think warmer tones and intimate settings and facial expressions. Think AI companions in caregiving or wellness scenarios, or even voice assistants supporting neurodiverse users. Choose visuals that dial into more interest-based communities versus general connection, right? As fragmentation continues to splinter audiences. Choose visuals that reflect how essential technology can be to our lives, giving us more control to literally change our lives and extend healthier lives. And then, choose visuals that visualize the abstract and really take us on our journey using camera movement and metaphors and symbolism, motion design, 3D renders of networks and digital environments, as well as surreal landscapes to really enhance storytelling. And lastly, choose visuals that find the right balance between reality and fantasy in a way that feels most authentic to your brand, right? And this includes embracing hyperrealism and surreal digital art and emotional AI interactions. And so while we didn't cover every single subject under the sun of technology, I hope you did find these insights valuable, and that they inspire you on your journey to make better visual choices. Please reach out to our team so we can talk to you beyond the Q&A coming up, and make sure to tap in with us on vgps.com, where we write about all of the latest and greatest in visual trends across industries. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to you, Jen.
Thanks, Nicole. Live Q&A is just moments away, but first, let me tell you about custom content. Your brand is unique, so shouldn't your visuals be uniquely yours? With custom content, we bring your vision to life with on-brand stills and video made exclusively for you. It's simple. Just provide us with your creative brief and we take care of the rest. Whether it's video featuring your product shot in Barcelona or new lifestyle images captured stateside, we harness the power of our over 541,000 Getty Images creators worldwide to deliver assets that are on brand, on budget, and on time. Reach out to your Getty Images representative to learn more. We'll be back with live Q&A right after this video message. Welcome back, downloaders, to today's live Q&A session. Joining me now is our superstar, Nicole, to answer your questions about the visual GPS presentation you just saw. The floor is now open, but first I want to give a shout out to some of the companies in attendance today. I see SanDisk, Lenovo, Oracle, Cisco, and Dell. Welcome to all of you, as well as all the rest of our attendees. Keep those questions coming in. You can put them in the Q&A below, but we have a couple of FAQs that I have for you, Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Jen.
Great job. First question. You mentioned brands playing a part in consumer sentiment. So how can we ensure we're connecting on an emotional level that keeps people excited and thwarts those anxieties you talked about?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, I think that, in order to really build those emotional connections and keep people feeling good about the pervasiveness of technology, the answer really lies in continuing to center our humanity, right? Really highlighting those moments that we cherish most, right? The ways in which technology brings us together with our family and friends and our loved ones, and how it enhances our lives in a way that doesn't overtake it. It doesn't have to be right the main focus, but it is always there, and it is enhancing all of our connections and activities, right? I think that really dialing into some more of this interest-based community building that we're gravitating towards these days is definitely something to take seriously, to take into consideration. And then, of course, by really centering that prioritization we're seeing amongst consumers on their health and wellness, right? Really ensuring to display reflections of healthy relationships between all of the technology that's evolving and that's available to us. I think these are all some really great ways to remain kind of grounded and help bridge more positive sentiments as we continue in our evolution.
I love that. I love what you said about bringing in the humanity. When I'm on my smartphone, I am not in a spaceship with lasers. I am just, in a very bland room. Barbie core, by the way. Barbie core is my
Hardcore.
favorite core.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're seeing it in a different through a different lens, and I love it based in reality.
Yeah.
All
Totally.
right. We have another question here. Will the rise of digital identity and selfhood make real people imagery less needed? So,
Hmm.
lifestyle imagery, are we going to move away from that?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I believe the short answer is no. I think that real people imagery will always be really important, especially as our lives continue to become more digital. I think we're just going to, pull on those human connections more and more, right? But I do think that the rise of digital identity may play a part in distorting how people, view themselves, right, and others, right?
Mhm.
And it'll continue to reshape or strengthen our definitions of authenticity, right? Like I mentioned with virtual influencers, for example, these characters usually embody ideal versions of diversity and gender fluidity and beauty, right? Or how digital twins, right, will allow users to really experiment with their identity and body types and aesthetics in ways that real life may not, be as easy to permit. So I think depending on your product offering or service, these newer technologies are elements to be mindful of and should be included in certain visual cues if that makes sense to your brand. But no, I think real people and lifestyle imagery is always going to be really important to include.
Perfect. And just a reminder, everyone, keep those questions coming in the Q&A section below. We'll get to any that we don't get to on today's program. We'll get to those later in the week for you. Here's a live question for you, Nicole. I often need to illustrate abstract concepts like quantum computing and AI. How can I move away from robot takeover or floating overlay kinds of imagery?
Yeah. Wow, that's a great question. I love that question. I think that the answer is really rooted in creativity. Um, I think that a blend of people, non-people imagery, right, a more surreal approach, or if you're inclined to utilize more of a abstract and conceptual approach, there are really cool ways that you can utilize certain symbols and make them come to life and have them tell a story, right? I think I mentioned Apple's Flock campaign, right, as an example of some of that really great storytelling that we're going to continue to see within this space. They actually turned security cameras around like a city environment into crows, into birds. And the bird, as people are on their phone, right, in an office or something, a bird is flying towards the window and would crash into the screen, right? Or is flying around somebody's head trying to be bothersome. And then you see an individual go to the Safari app on their phone, and then all of a sudden the birds explode, right? So I loved the way that they utilized the literal technology and turned it into something else to help us kind of tell a really like interesting story that kind of keeps you captivated and helps you kind of understand privacy, right? In this case, from a completely different perspective. And so I think for quantum computing in AI, depending on what specifically about the technology you're looking to tout, there are really creative ways I think that you can look into that tells a little bit more of a story, right? And helps to demystify some of this technology, like I mentioned earlier as well. Um,
Great.
yeah,
And then I think we have time for one more question. Not to put you on the spot, but what are some of your favorite campaigns that you've seen from technology brands? I know you just mentioned the Apple one. Are there
yeah,
any others?
yeah, of course. I am a really big fan of, um, I think it's Apple again, their heartstrings spot where they are touting their hearing aid feature on AirPods. It nearly brought me to tears, happy tears. But that was a great example of emotional connection. And then I really love Google's 25 years of search. I think they have done such a masterful job at weaving that nostalgia throughout their video campaign in a way that it kind of evoked a sort of pride out of me, right? Like I'm proud of all the things, all these wonderful things that happened last year. And then lastly, I think there's an Android spot where they worked with Z-Way. I think it's
Oh,
called Finding Love with Z-Way or something like that. And it really hilariously unpacks the stigma of that green text, right? And how people should not overlook one another in regard to dating specifically, just because they have an Android phone, right? Like, oh, when you see the green text in
yes.
your messages, and we're not gonna talk to this person anymore. So I thought it was hilarious, and I thought it was a great example of a brand leaning into cultural conversation, but also turning something that could have been viewed as like negative, as a slight towards the brand, and turning it into something positive and fun and playful.
Perfect. And big fan of Z-Way. So viewers, if you haven't checked her out, check out her stuff.
Yeah.
Every question that we didn't get to today will follow up with viewers directly, but that is all the time we have for today. Thank you to everyone for submitting your questions. And again, answers to anything we didn't get to today will be followed up on later this week. Thank you so much, Nicole. We had the hazing for the download with you with all the technical problems, but
Ooh.
thank you so much for all your insightful research and expertise. As a reminder, everyone, you can check out all our latest visual GPS research and reporting on visualgps.com and catch all past episodes of the download on demand over on our show page. If you have any questions about premium access, visual GPS, or any of our products or services, just reach out to your Getty Images representative and we'll be happy to help. Or you can email us at thedownload@gettyimages.com. Last thing, as you exit today, there will be a quick poll for some instant feedback to today's episode. Please take a moment to let us know how we can serve you better. Thank you once again for joining us today. I've been your host, Jennifer Kelly, and we'll see you next time on The Download.